Should we begin or we should wait for 5 more minutes for the rest of the people to join?
परिणीता, हम लोग आज क्या कर रहे हैं?
मैम आज डिस्ट्रैक्टर का पोजीशनिंग देखेंगे कि डिस्ट्रैक्टर का कितने लाइब्रेरीज है एंड हाउ यू कैन यूज अ डिस्ट्रैक्टर एंड दूसरा वील डू फिबुला गाइड टुडे.
ओके,
या
ठीक है, गो अहेड.
यस मैम. मैम अनदर थिंग इज आपको वो रिडक्शन फ्रैक्चर्स वाला जो भी स्कैन है वो आपको मुझे मेल करना है एक.
किया था शायद.
नहीं मैम, मुझे सिर्फ फिबुला ही आए हैं.
ओके, ठीक है,
तो
मैं फिर से कर देती हूँ.
यस यस मैम, वो एक करवा दीजिए बिकॉज आई वाज जस्ट गोइंग थ्रू द दिस शेड्यूल. अभी सिर्फ वही बचा है आई गेस.
ओके, तो कल
तो
हो जाएगा खत्म.
यस, कल खत्म हो जाएगा मैम. तो आप अकॉर्डिंगली फिर अगर वो भेज देंगे तो कल वो
हाँ, मैं
खत्म
भेज
कर देंगे. यस
मैं
एंड
अभी
देन
भेज देती हूँ. यू
yes
स्टार्ट.
then yes yes definitely, and then Wednesday, Thursday, like the rest of the week you have to practice at your end. And during that you can just drop me messages अगर आपको कहाँ पे भी तकलीफ होती है तो I'll try and
ठीक है,
address as much as I can.
ठीक है, ओके.
ठीक है मैम, done. I'll start the share screen. So I hope the screen is visible, right? So let's assume that you would want to elongate or advance the central segment of the mandible. So here I've taken the orthognathic case that we were doing for patient Chandra Kamal, right? Wherein we had first segmented the maxilla and mandible, then planned the cuts of the maxilla and mandible, right? And after the cuts, this is how the mandible looks like, right? So assuming that we would want to move the central section of the mandible, or we would want to advance the central segment of mandible. This is how, using the distractor simulation, using the simulation of distractor, this is how you will proceed. Under the simulate tab, you will have place distractor option, right? So I'm going to click on that. The first thing that comes is fixed object. So select the object that will remain fixed during the distraction. I'm going to fix right section of the mandible as my fixed entity, right? I'm going to click next. When you click next, an entire library of distractors that is already available with Mimics is visible here. So you have Martin, you have Medicon, Synthis, as per your requirement, right? So for I'm just taking a horizontal distractor unilateral use as an example for now. Selecting this one as per your requirement, as per the instrument that you will be using, you can choose from the library available, right? I have selected mine. I'm going to click OK. So once you click OK, locate the distractor with mouse. So again, my cursor turns into a 3D marker. Now using this marker, I can click onto the place where I want. So you can see this is how the distractor, the line is. Basically, this is something similar to your plane that we create. So you have to mark any 2 points wherein you want the distractor to be. So this is how it's placed. You see it's been placed internally. So now I can adjust the points in such a way similar to the plane. I'm adjusting the distractor also. Also, you have manual, instead of doing manually, you can use these automated restrictions here, and you can place the distractor, something like this. Then you can again use translate, rotate. Right. So this is how I've placed the distractor. Once you're done, you can click on finish. So placement of distractor is completed. Right. Now I'm going to move. So for that, I would want to reposition. So reposition with distractor. Right. I already had two created. So this is my first. So this is my first placement. This is my second. So as per your placements, you can see which is available. I am going to switch on the second one. So I have selected the second, and objects to reposition will be my center section of mandible. And using the translate distractor option, I'm just going to click 1 mm. So you can see the movement. You can visualize how it's moving. It's important to understand that a copy of this is not being created. So you can see how it's moving. If you want to see it with respect to the advanced, with respect to the maxilla, this is how it is. So you can see the translation. So yes, this is how basically it is. Once you are done with the movement, you can click OK and close. So this is basically how the simulate module with distraction works. Any doubts or any queries? Okay. So let's move ahead with fibula guide and mandible reconstruction using fibula, right? So I'll stop share and I'll reshare.
रवि, हेलो रवि।
हाँ जी मैम।
हाँ, जो ट्रॉमा वाली है, पैन फेशियल वाली, वो फिर से एक बार मेल कर दो, क्योंकि बहुत सारी मेलें मुझे सारी खोल के देखनी पड़ेगी वरना।
ओके मैम।
जस्ट हाँ, ट्रॉमा वाली एक मेल कर दो तो मैं आगे फॉरवर्ड कर दूँ।
ओके मैम।
I hope the screen is visible now. Again, so basically, I'm just going to let you know how the process flows. अभी तक हमने जो डिफरेंट चीजें करी है, जैसे सेगमेंटेशन, फिर क्रिएशन ऑफ प्लेन, फिर उसके बाद थ्रीमैटिक में जैसे सर्जिकल गाइड क्रिएट किया है, रिपोजिशनिंग किया है, दिस बेसिकली फिबुला गाइड विल बी लाइक अ क्या कहते हैं, अ रीकैप ऑफ ऑल द स्टेप्स दैट यू हैव डन. So I'm just going to go step by step so that you know I've already performed the entire ऑपरेशन और एंटायर प्रोजेक्ट, ताकि हम सिर्फ स्टेप बाय स्टेप रियलाइज करें कि हम एक प्रोजेक्ट को स्टार्ट टू एंड कैसे फिनिश करते हैं first. And second is how in case you're facing any difficulty in any of these segments particularly, you can let me know and I can show you that particular thing कि आप इसको what is the alternative method of doing that, या आप इसको अगर आपको कोई difficulty face हो रही है तो आप उसको ease कैसे कर सकते हैं. So accordingly, just stop me wherever you're facing any doubt or difficulty, and that particular section I'll re-explain from the basics, right? So let's begin. Basically, the first thing that I've done is, again, as we do, import किया है मैंने DICOM, right? I visualize how the DICOM is. ठीक है, फिर since my main idea from of this file is मुझे maxilla चाहिए, mandible चाहिए, fibula चाहिए, right? तो सबसे पहले मैंने basic bone के लिए एक segment बनाया, using segment. न्यू मास्क मैंने एक मास्क बनाया जिसमें सारा बोनी कंपोनेंट इंक्लूडेड था कैन का, राइट? फिर उसको मैंने स्प्लिट मास्क से, राइट, एज यू कैन सी रीजन ए रीजन बी, स्प्लिट मास्क से मैक्सिला एंड मैंडिबल बनाया. So this green is my mandible and the red mask is my maxilla, right? Then I have calculated the 3D component of these masks. So again, calculate part, right? I have then selected my masks and OK. Once I have done that, I'm zooming onto the 3D view. My maxilla and mandible got recreated. Once your masks are recreated, it's important to check the fine tuning. अगर आपका कोई maxilla का part mandible में आ गया हो या vice versa, mandible का कोई part maxilla में चला गया हो during split mask, आपको उसको correct करना होता है. How do you correct it? You use the different tools available under modify, right? So you can use edit mask, multi-slice edit, Boolean operations, morphology operations. So you have like 3-4 options which you can use and fine tune your mask. Once you fine tune your mask, the next part is incorporating the fibula STL. So अगर आप यहाँ पे देखेंगे, so I already have the fibula STL here in the mask. Let me zoom out so we can see where it is. Okay. Now कभी-कभी कैसा होता है ना कि आपने बहुत zoom out कर लिया, but फिर भी आपको वो फाइल नहीं दिख रहा है, right? So at that moment, what you should do is you should hide the in view file. So I've hidden the mandible and maxilla file that were in view. मैंने सिर्फ fibula को visible करके रखा है. Now using the presets visual, I'm going to select anterior. तो आपको automatically fibula का file दिख गया, which you are not able to see by zooming in, zooming out. You can now visualize it. So remember this trick that in case आपको कोई फाइल पूरे वर्क एरिया में नहीं दिख रहा है, तो आपका तो तब जो इन व्यू रहेगा उसको आपको हाइड करना है. जैसे अभी मैंने मैक्सिला मैंडिबल चालू किया बट मुझे दिख नहीं रहा है, सो इट्स quite far off, इसलिए हमको नहीं दिख रहा था. Plus it has incorporated the fibula guide in white color, so to differentiate becomes more difficult. For that also there are two options. First let me tell you how do you import the STL. अगर आपको कोई ऑलरेडी क्रिएटेड STL इंपोर्ट करनी हो तो आप फाइल import STL वाला फंक्शन यूज करेंगे, राइट? देन wherever you have saved the file, you can select that STL, right? You can select that STL and click open. Your file will be incorporated, right? So this is the fibula, this is the mandible. The tumor is on the left section, right? So the tumor is somewhere here in this region. So that basically means we have to replace this segment or this section of the this left section of the mandible with the fibula, right? So uske liye sabse pehle there are two ways. What we generally do is we reposition the fibula onto the mandible, right? So I repositioned the fibula onto the mandible. Now how do you reposition? This is my mandible file, right? And somewhere below is my fibula. So what I'll do is I'll go to align repositioning. Repositioning में मैं objects to reposition में अपना fibula main select करूंगी, right? And using move with mouse, I am going to translate this in such a way कि वो approximately मेरे fibula के region पे आ जाए. Somewhere here, right? I'm just right. और मैंने ये करके इसको fix कर दिया है. That's it. This is going to be my first step. Basically, fibula और mandible को मैंने एक section में लाके रखा है. Now I'm going to close the fibula में, right? The next thing I will decide is my planes, because before I place the fibula onto the mandible, I have to first realize कि मेरे cut sections कहाँ गिरने वाले हैं, right? So cut sections, I have already made the planes. So this is my plane 1 and this is my plane 2. So this is how the cut section looks like. Since I just wanted a plane passing through 2 points, I have used the cut plane option. Now, what do I mean by cut plane option and how I have made the plane, right? So to cut any part, you will have to use the cut operation, right? So to create a resection plane, you will have to use the cut operation in the 3D tools. There are two methods. Let me first close this, right? So I know my first cut is somewhere here and my second cut is an oblique cut somewhere here. So I'm right. मैंने आपको पहले with polyplane दिखाया है. Today I'm going to show with plane. So I'm going to select the with plane option. My object to cut will be my main mandible. I'm going to draw a plane. So when I click on draw, my cursor changes into a marker. I'm just going to give it a plane, basic plane. So I want it somewhere here. So this is how the plane is being created. Now you can rotate by moving these points. You can rotate, change the angle, change the position of the plane. Right? Once you have finalized the plane, you can click on OK. Also, the other thing is thickness. So, right, suppose if you want to make a 1 mm cut, right? So now, right now it is at 0.01. You can change it to 1. So, as per your requirement, you can change the thickness of the plane and keep originals, because it's always important and great to preserve your original file, so that just in case in the future you do miss out on any steps and you do have to repeat on any steps, you always have your main file with you to repeat the steps. And then you can click OK. So let me just hide this plane. Plane 3 is a new plane created. Based on the previous planes that I had created, that is my plane 1 and plane 2. This is how the mandible cut looks like. So this is my, let me hide your name. So this is how it looks like. That's my right, that's my left section. Now that I have received my sections, or I have made the cut sections, I will again switch my fibula, right? Now using rotate function, I will try and set the fibula in between the two resected mandible sections. So again, to rotate and set, we'll have to go to align and reposition. This time I'm going to choose the function rotate with mouse. My objects to reposition is the fibula, right? Here I would want to change my center of rotation to the lowermost point, and then I'm just going to turn. Now I'm going to try and see the best possible angle. this doesn't work. So rotate it this way. So as per your requirement, you can accordingly rotate and reset, right? So this is how I have repositioned. Let me hide this one. This is how I've repositioned the fibula, right? Now using the same cutting planes that I had used for the mandible, I am now going to cut my fibula. From that, I achieve my segment of fibula that I will replace. So let me just off. So yes, using the same, I have made the cut on the fibula. So this is how the mandible will look like after reconstruction. So this is basically the planning part of it, wherein you first imported your DICOM files, then you have segmented your DICOM files, right? After segmentation, you have made the surgical planning onto it, wherein you decided your cutting planes, right? Based on the cutting planes, you have decided the section of mandible that you will be resecting, right? After that, you have now decided, after that, you have repositioned the fibula as per the cut sections or between the cut fragments of the mandible, right? And later, you have finally isolated the segment of the fibula that you will be using as a replacement. So in mimics, these are all the steps you do, right? So the mimics portion of the fibula surgical guide planning is completed. If any doubts, let me know. If you want me to repeat any section, do let me know. Okay, I'm assuming that we are clear with these steps and proceeding further. All right. So in the next step, we have two. Our next steps basically are three-step process. Fibula guide is step one is the mimics planning. Then comes step two is your mandible guide, and the step three is fibula guide. So let's move on to the mandible guide planning first.
हेलो
Yes.
अगर डबल कट देना है डबल बैरल
Understood.
फिबुला में डबल बैरल से भी सेक्शन करना होता है
हाँ हाँ नहीं आई अंडरस्टैंड ये अंडरस्टूड ये सिंगल सेगमेंट का किया था हमने
हाँ उसको कैसे बेंड करना मतलब उसको रोटेट करके रखना होगा बस वहाँ पे प्लेस में
राइट सो लेट मी स्विच माय व्यू अगेन राइट तो अगर इसको दो कट्स में डिवाइड करना है तो राइट अगर चेंज करना है शेप यू विल हैव टू फॉलो द सिमिलर प्रोसेस आप 3D टूल्स में जाके एक कट प्लेन आई एम जस्ट cutting the same segment right now. I'm just going to use the fibula segment. This is the plane that I made. I'm going to click on. Okay. Let me hide my repositioned fibula. And let me hide my fibula segment. Right? So let me just hide this plane. Also, what I forgot to mention back then is आप जो polyplane बनाते हैं वो आपके simulation object के टैब में visible होता है but जो आप normal plane बनाते हैं वो आपके 3D objects में ही visible होगा right so I'm going to hide my plane 4 तो आप देख रहे हो जो मैंने segments use किए थे उसी के मैंने दो parts किए हैं now assuming that we would want to give it some more like I इस पेशेंट में जरूरत नहीं थी उतनी अगर आप देख रहे हैं तो उसका ये बैलेंस्ड है बट जस्ट सेइंग कि अगर आपको देना है हाइट के लिए तो मैंने इसको दो पार्ट में डिवाइड किया नाउ आई एम गोइंग टू गो टू अलाइन reposition right? And I am going to select my part 2 segment of the fibula, rotate with mouse, right? Now I would want to keep my attachment to the mandible constant. तो मैं ये वाला point of rotation यहाँ पे नीचे set कर दूंगी between the connection of the mandible and fibula, ताकि वो वाला मेरा position set रहे, and इसको थोड़ा और बाहर rotate कर रही, right? अगर मुझे इसको height देना है फिर से तो again you can accordingly work on it. Then I'm going to go to move with mouse and I'm going to use this arrow ताकि वो उस angle में जाए, and I'm going to set it here. अब मैं वापस rotate with mouse करूंगी, keep my point here, and move somewhere like this. Right? But आपको like whatever you're planning right now, I'm just showing on the fibula segment, so I can tell you कि अगर आपको different segments को plan करना है कैसे कर सकते हैं. Again, suppose if I go to select part point 1, I have again now selected the part 1 and मैं इसको rotate करने वाली हूँ. So with respect to the same, I'm going to rotate somewhere here and then somewhere up. तो आपका जो भी प्लानिंग होगा वो यहीं पे होगा एंड द स्टेप्स रिमेन सेम. इज जस्ट दैट मैंने क्या किया था, मैंने पहले सेक्शन को लेके इसको किया है. यहाँ पे मुझे कैसे करना पड़ेगा, सिंस आई हैव टू प्लान ऑन टू फ्रैगमेंट्स, राइट, माय शेप चेंजेस, तो मुझे सेम चेंज मेरे एक्चुअल फिब्युला पे भी रेप्लिकेट करना पड़ेगा या सेम सरफेस, बिकॉज अभी कैसा हो रहा है ना, माय सरफेस एरिया और माय पॉइंट ऑफ कांटेक्ट विल चेंज विद द एंगल आई चेंज, राइट. एंड इन द एंड आपको जो प्लेन्स बनाने हैं, कट प्लेन्स, जिसका आप यू नो फिब्युला से एक्सट्रैक्ट करोगे, वो आपके फिब्युला पे भी आपको मिमिक करने रहेंगे. तो जो भी चेंजेस आप फिब्युला के फ्रैगमेंट्स में करोगे, आपको सेम चेंज यहाँ पे करना पड़ेगा, राइट. So does this address your doubt or do you have still any query?
ठीक है मैम, समझ में आ गया.
हाँ, तो okay, done.
Yes.
अगर इसकी हाइट इंक्रीज करनी हो तो
वही कट करके ऊपर ले जाना होगा उसको.
हाँ, exactly. मतलब अगर
फिबुला के
राइट, तो
एक और कट बनाना.
एग्जैक्टली आपको ये 3 कट प्लेन्स में करना होगा. सो बेसिकली इसके क्रॉस कट्स आएंगे 1 2 3. सो योर फर्स्ट फ्रैगमेंट विल बी समवेयर लाइक दिस, राइट. Your second fragment comes somewhere like this, and your third fragment goes and joins to your front mandible, right? You're talking about something like this, wherein your first comes down somewhere here, second goes थोड़ा externally बाहर से, and एक third segment रहेगा जो अंदर की तरफ join होगा. So एक आपका ऐसे curve fragment बनेगा, right? This is the planning that you would want for height.
नहीं मैम, इसके ऊपर, हाँ मतलब इसके ऊपर एक और फिबुला आ जाएगा. मतलब
अच्छा, like
एक और कट, एक और सेक्शन.
okay, understood. Okay, so right, so before switching on, एक काम करते हैं, let's just log out and restart because less than 1 minute for this meeting is left. तो जो आगे का फिबुला गाइड एंड मैंडिबल गाइड रिक्रिएशन है वो नेक्स्ट सेशन में ही स्टार्ट करते हैं. I'm just going to stop share and end the meeting and we can all rejoin in 2 minutes.